Good morning, good morning, good morning, St. Louis, and welcome to the Freeman Bosley Jr. Show, where we keep it on lock and quit playing. This morning, we are here with Brother Anthony Shaheed. Guys, before we dive in, go ahead and tag 10 friends and bring them in. Now we're going to go ahead and bring Brother Shaheed in. Good morning.
Yeah,
Good morning, Brother Shaheed. Good morning, Brother Shaheed.
But I'm just trying to say,
Good morning, Brother
good morning to
Shaheed.
everybody. Can I just say good morning, everybody? You're trying to set me out because it's like how you start your voice. You know, I'm just being honest with you. It's just deep that you and Brother, well, I guess I don't know who's going to introduce the star of the show today, because Mayor Bosley said he's going on special assignment just because he knew this person was coming.
All right,
You
now.
called this person.
I called this
Senator
person.
Carla May said we'll go all the way, even though she ain't here because of this person.
Yes, yes.
And
But she's handling the business of the state.
Okay, but I thought I was talking. You just jumping on in that side. I remember when you weren't even talking, and this other person had one person looking at his feet, and it was
Y'all
you.
heard him. He said he know when I wasn't even talking, but I can't think of a time when he wasn't.
Okay, so can you do the introduction? Maybe I can't introduce him right.
Without further delay.
In person,
Without
live.
further delay. He is not a guest. He is definitely a part of the show. He's been with us 5 years, and today we have this morning Brother Charles Abdul Wali Muhammad. Assalamu alaikum, brother.
Wa alaikum salam. Good morning. Good morning. Can y'all hear me okay?
Yes, sir. You good? You
Okay.
good. Who can't hear you?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Well, I just want y'all to know, Brother Shaheed made me do this against my will.
That's cold. You can on the radio talking like that. Woo! Those who know don't tell, and those who tell don't know. No, I'm honored when my brother walked into the studio this morning. My brother's gonna have a fit. He probably gonna have an attitude because he wasn't here on your arrival.
My Lord.
It reminds me how they said they used to do Brother Jabir Muhammad and Muhammad Ali whenever they would travel. Jabir Muhammad is Muhammad Ali's manager, and I'm Elijah Muhammad's son. Kings and queens wanted to be there when Muhammad Ali and him got there, you know, so they could make sure he was being treated royally. And I know Mayor Bosley gonna feel the same way. The mere fact that you hear live in person, on stage.
On stage.
But I was just on stage. Look how
Yes,
you
sir.
can act like all sophisticated. You didn't have number one person that was your mother when you first started. Now you got hundreds
That
of
is
thousands
true.
of people. But go ahead.
I will want to say that, because of Mayor Bosley, I've learned a lot, especially about interviewing, the way he interviews people, the way he makes those questions up, on the spot sometimes, the way he does his research, just watching him, reading the newspapers, reading the articles that he reads and everything. So, when he does that, I watched him, and I've learned my style from Mayor Bosley and what he does. So, shots off to the first ever black mayor of St. Louis, Missouri, Mayor Freeman Bosley Jr.
Awesome. We have to clap it up for him. Clap it up. Yes.
Well, can I say something too?
Yes, sir.
I'm gonna say the only black mayor, because the other one there wasn't no black mayor.
I'm going to stay out of that one now.
Man, we're going to bag out of
I'm not
that one.
speaking for 1600. Hallelujah. I'm not speaking
Okay.
for set close, because he's awfully close over there. I'm not talking about Kevin, who's the engineer that's sitting in the house that's handling things. I ain't talking about Sister Secretary Valicia. I ain't talking about Mayor Bobs. I ain't talking about Senator Carla May. I ain't talking about I'm talking about Brother Anthony Shaheed said. I have a right to say, well, I have my own opinion on it. Can I say what I want to
Yes,
say?
sir. Yes,
He's
sir.
the only black mayor we had.
Yes, sir.
Because the other one was buck dancing and buck jumping and butt kissing and butt sniffing and was being butt buddies with everybody except for the black community.
In that order?
Well, it's a little bit more, but I left some of the things out because I was trying to be professional this morning.
Yes, sir.
All right, well,
So,
be
Secretary,
professional.
let you jump back
Let
in.
me jump in, y'all. We was talking about reparation on last week. We can say that our current mayor, Mayor Tashara Jones, has a task force, and she's working on that reparation for the black people being paid for the injustices that they had occurred. So, hey. We give it up. We give it up.
Can I interject, Brother Shaheed?
Yes, please.
Now, we speak about those reparations, but I just want to mention that don't put your money, if you got an account at Bank of America, because you know what happened today, don't you?
Come on.
Tell us.
They said that they had a glitch.
Yes, sir.
That was earlier this week.
Yeah,
That they had a
one.
glitch,
Yes,
yeah.
they had a glitch earlier this week. And what happened was that people went to the bank. And when they went to the bank, they couldn't withdraw their money, and their accounts were overdrawn in the red. And Bank of America has teamed up with Zelle. Zelle told people to talked to Bank of America. Bank of America told people to talk to Zelle, and people were caught in the runaround, you know, with their accounts. So their accounts were overdrawn in the red, and a lot of people couldn't access their money. So it was a huge issue for a lot of people, and we hope that that gets resolved quickly because Bank of America is a huge bank, and a lot of people bank there.
And, you know, that's why Big Mama kept her money in a shoebox.
And in the mattress.
In the mattress, yes, that's it. I mean, they might have had some in the bank, but they had that reserve box, you know. Wow, that is something. Can you imagine going to the bank trying to get some money out and they're telling you that you're in the red?
That sounds like what they used to talk about when the stock market crashed. We wasn't alive during that time, but that's what it sounded like. And then how they throw one on the other. That's how they were saying Southwest Airlines was doing early this month. I'm not sure when that was, when they were doing the holiday time, when they knew all the damn time that they didn't have flights for people. But they said, let's go and get this money anyway, and people who are going to sue us and the little money, we got to give them $100 or $200 for some baggage. We're going to be in good shape. That kind of reminds me of that kind of stuff. And that's
What was the name of that president that went and told everybody they had to turn all their gold in?
We'll come back with it on if we can.
I'll check into that.
You'll check into that for us.
Yeah.
Can I switch the subject just for 1 minute? And I
Yes.
definitely want you to check into that.
Yes.
Mayor Bosley talked about some weeks ago about water. Let's don't get off of that. Let's make sure brothers and sisters out there, you start drinking water. Let me say it again. To the radio listening audience, for our Facebook followers, to our YouTube followers, to our whatever, whoever is listening who honor the sound of our voice, make sure you're drinking plenty of water. Water cleanses the system. And I said I was going to talk about breastfeeding, and if I get a chance to, I will. But I want to stick right now on water and how important water is and why you have to drink water. Water is not just for drinking. Of course, we know it is. But water is for cleansing. This is how you keep yourself cleansed. If you want to start making sure your weight is proper and try to keep it focused, drink as much water as you possibly can. They'll usually say something like 8 bottles because, and I'm showing people that's looking at me live, water cleans the outside. But if water is on the roof, it's like early this week, it was doing a lot of rain in the early part of this week. If that water is on that roof and it's a leak, that water gonna find it.
Exactly.
So in the inside of your body, you have all kind of parts. Your body is so intricate with so many moving parts. It's only that water can go through those parts and cleanse them. And if you're not drinking enough water and you're drinking sodas, and I'll give you an illustration. Take a soda. If your battery cable is messed up and it's corroded, I dare you to take some soda and put it on that battery cable and see what that Pepsi-Cola or that Coca-Cola or some of them other sodas, see what it do.
It'll eat away at that acid.
That's the same way. It don't say, well, hold up, this is somebody's body, I can't do this. It does the same thing. Drink water. Try to stay away from it. You can take $1.50 and buy a 64-ounce thing of some Kool-Aid with some drip. That's not even Kool-Aid. Some of these things these people got, they got so much, what do they call that, ingredients, that's not the word I'm looking for, that's the preservatives. There's some of this food has been out there for as long as 10 years, and you're eating this food that's got preservatives in there and ain't drinking no water. So I'm just suggesting to you, and you can jump in, y'all, somebody can save me, drink as much water, H2O, whatever you want to call it. If you call it water, you can boil it. If you say, well, I haven't got a chance to get to the store and my money is short, turn the faucet on, but don't drink faucet water. Boil your water and drink the water. Now, Elijah Muhammad talked about boiled water. This way, if you can't talk about, I can't get to spring water, it ain't this water. Okay, don't worry about all that. Put just a teeny-weeny pinch of salt in it, just a teeny-weeny, or just some lemon juice. Just a pinch. Really, that lemon juice is better.
Yes.
And boil that water and drink that water. But once you jump in, one of y'all jump in, we only got less than 1 minute before the next segment
I'll add real quickly. If you are a caregiver and you're taking care of the sick and the shut-in, our elders, make sure that you keep them hydrated as well. And the children, the babies, keep them hydrated. Some kids do not like drinking water.
Sure.
So you can just put some cucumber and different vegetables and fruit in that water and infuse it, and it'll give a little bit of flavor and still be just as good.
Allah in His wisdom has fixed it where the body can heal itself. But one of the main things that help heal, if you have a scab on your hand, it don't take long for it heals. But water help heal everything way faster and better than anything that you can take. If you really want to get your body together, go 3 months without doing anything but drinking water, and you're going to desire a love and a taste for it, and you ain't going to be, you'll never have to worry about the skin. We only got 5 seconds left. Take us to the break.
All right, guys, you're listening to the Freeman Bosley Jr. Show. Keep it on lock.
And stop playing! Oh, see, that's real stuff. My body. My engineers are. Secretary, would you bring us in, please?
Welcome back, St. Louis. You're listening to the Freeman Bosley Jr. Show. Good morning, where we keep it on lock and quit playing.
Oh,
All
you know,
right
man,
now.
Boss, I'm just going to be honest with you. Seth and Kevin, I'm doing a report on everybody, too. You know how they tell me don't snitch? I'm telling on every damn
He
body. Y'all
telling on
came in
everybody.
showing up and showing out, then y'all bring him on. He got all his Facebook people listen to it. Then he wants to close out a certain way. Mary Bosley got a way of stabbing, but y'all sounding better. But I'm not going to tell y'all all that.
He said
and then Sister
he
Secretary,
telling on everybody, y'all. He telling. He said he ain't snitching. He telling you that he's telling.
Hey, I'm gonna say this and then we're gonna.
He don't even care about snitches get stitches. He say he telling on everybody.
Let me say this and I'm gonna be through talking to you. Gonna bring our guest on. You know why I got a problem with this stuff?
Yes, sir.
My brother Melvin would do stuff. I would do stuff too, and then he tell me don't tell mama. I tell him, man, let me tell you something. When mama just whooped my butt last time, I'm telling you, I'm telling on you. Don't worry about telling me who told. I'm telling you, I'm telling. So, Brother Charles, are you clear what I'm saying? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Sister Secretary.
I'm okay with you snitching,
Okay.
Brother Shaheed.
Set close. You too close, too near me not to hear me. Yes or no? Do you hear me? Yes or no?
Yeah, what Felicia said.
Okay, sounds good. Kevin, don't play like you don't hear me, like you're so involved in what you're doing over there. I'm telling you, are you clear? Yes or no? Thank you. I rest my case. I didn't even get a chance to answer. My sister, now let's go to a serious note here. We have one of our sisters on the phone that we love and respect so much, Sister Michelle Smith. And I would, if you'd do me the honor of introducing her, because she did so much work with Kevin Johnson and the execution to try to make sure that they didn't execute this brother last month. And if you would jump in here and give her the introduction and the proper introduction, the way she should be honored and respected, I'll be appreciative.
Yes, absolutely. So we have Sister Michelle Smith on the show this morning. She's been on our show before. She is the founder of Missourians for Alternatives to the Death Penalty. And she did great work with Brother Kevin Johnson and others prior to Kevin Johnson. But today we will talk to her about another execution, and we want to go ahead and bring her in now without further delay. Good morning, Sister Michelle. Can you hear me?
I can. Good morning. Thank you so much for having me on.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you for being on. We really appreciate it.
Thank you so much this morning.
Thank you.
If you can jump in there, Secretary, no, you handle this here. I want you to handle this because it's real dear to me, and I don't want to get emotional about this because executions are serious. And here we go again. Last month we were talking about an execution, and now they're trying to, if we don't put things in place, and if Wesley Bell don't do the right thing, we'll have another execution February 7th on a brother who's a Muslim brother this time. Last time it was a brother, and we don't care what their religion is. It just so happened that he is a Muslim brother, so I don't have to buck dance around that part that they're trying to execute. Can you help us jump on in there and help us on what we're talking about, sister? Let our radio listening audience know, and our Facebook audience and our different viewers understand what's happening, please.
I can. And yes, Raheem Taylor is scheduled to be executed on February 7th. And yes, Raheem is a very devout Muslim. He has been all his life. He takes his, faith very seriously. And honestly, that is what's been able to, keep him going and keep him hopeful over these last 18 or 19 years. Different from Kevin's case, Raheem has an innocence claim. And when I speak about people who have innocence claims, I don't take that lightly, because I understand that there is a, scenario where people, quote unquote, can cry wolf. And so, their statements and their positions are not taken seriously. So when we get behind someone who has an innocence claim, we have looked into it. We have connected with their legal teams, and we see the evidence that the courts overlooked, didn't allow in, or also that there was some misconduct concerning the police and prosecutor. And in this particular case, all of those aspects were present. In 2004, Raheem's girlfriend and her 3 children were killed. And I want to stop and say this is a very, very difficult situation, especially these children. They were babies. Mm-hmm. And everyone who knows me knows that I am a very staunch supporter and advocate of children. And so the fact that these 3 innocent children were killed is still a horrible situation. And our, condolences definitely go out to the Rowe family. And after Miss Angela Rowe and her children were murdered, the spotlight fell on Raheem. And, honestly, he was not the most upstanding citizen, right? He did things. He was doing some illegal activities where, really made the police and prosecutors pay attention to him. However, just because you do one thing does not necessarily mean you did something else. Mm-hmm. And so Raheem was targeted. And the first egregious thing that happened actually happened to his brother. It didn't happen to him, it happened to his brother. And his brother was a truck driver, and the police felt like the brother knew something. So they, took him, pulled him out of his truck, took him to the Jennings Police Department, and basically they did what we know them to do today, right? Back 20 years ago, there was no cell phone camera, and, there were not all of these stories of the police harassing or threatening or abusing people. So these things were not necessarily believed. But his brother gave a deposition afterwards, after he was released, that the police did threaten him. They abused him. They actually threatened his mother. Mm. Their mother was elderly and lived in a senior citizen apartment building. And the police told, the brother that, we'll make something happen to your mom. So they definitely threatened and coerced him. And he did sign a statement saying that, my brother told me he did this. Now, soon after he did that and was released by the police, he told the truth. He said, my brother didn't tell me that, but when you're in an interrogation room and when the police have you in the back of a police car, beating you half to death, you're going to do what they're asking you to do, right? And so that was the situation with his brother. So it started with the abuse and threats against his brother, and it went on to his arrest and his wrongful prosecution and conviction for these murders, and subsequently he was placed on death row.
That's cool. Brother Wally, would you like to jump in there on anything?
Yes. Sister Michelle, how are you doing today?
I'm good.
Okay, thank you for being with us this morning. Now, you mentioned the innocence claim. Can you describe what an innocence claim is?
I definitely can. So in our state, there are 2 forms of innocence claims. One is called a freestanding or actual innocence. And that basically means that, there is no evidence against you. You're innocent. You can prove you're innocent. You can prove that you were not in that place when, that crime happened, whether it be murder, etc. And you have proof that you were not there. And your conviction was basically a fluke. Maybe someone who was there as a witness thought they saw you or saw someone who looked like you.
Yes, ma'am.
But a freestanding claim means that you are innocent. You can prove you're innocent outright. And the other form of an innocence claim is something we call basically your rights being violated, and it's under a term called gateway claims, but it basically means that you have some right that was violated in court by the police, by the prosecutor, and those are another form of an innocence claim. And actually, Raheem has both. He is innocent and he can prove he was innocent, but also his prosecution was rife with threats, with violating his rights, violating his brother's rights. And we know that under our last prosecutor, Bob McCullough, these things were normal, right? They were business as usual. I know many people who suffered similar.
Now, Sister Michelle, did he have private counsel or was there a public defender in this case?
He did have a public defender. He did not have independent means or money to hire a private attorney. So, yes, he did have a public defender. And, in looking back at his case, we can see very clearly that his public defenders were also incompetent or ineffective in many aspects, including his alibi witness was his child. He had a 13-year-old daughter, and he had left to go and meet his daughter in California, which is why he wasn't in St. Louis. And his attorneys failed to call his 13-year-old, at that time she was older, but failed to call his daughter as a witness, and she was actually with him. And not only was she with him at the time, after he met her, he called home. He lived with with Miss Rowe, Miss Angela Rowe. He resided with her. So he actually called home and let his daughter speak, to his girlfriend about coming to visit soon and playing with her children. Mm-hmm. So he had an alibi, and his attorneys failed to bring the alibi to court.
And Sister Michelle, thank you for that. One last question, if I may, please. Mm-hmm. Was DNA evidence a big thing at that time, or can they go back and get the DNA that they have from that to look at the case once again?
Well, unfortunately, there was not, much DNA evidence in this particular case. There was one item that they said DNA was on, which was Raheem's sunglasses. Now, also, again, he lived with Angela. They had lived together for probably 2.5 years from what I've read. And so it would be normal for, people you live with for their DNA or fingerprints, et cetera, to be on your property. Now, they did a preliminary test to see what the substance was, and it was some DNA, but they couldn't verify if it was blood. So basically there was some DNA matter that were found on his sunglasses, but because they live together, right, those things are normal. And so we can't necessarily say that, even a DNA on his sunglasses, be it sweat or we don't know what exactly it was, but whatever it was, they they lived together. They, slept in the same bed. They lived together for over 2 years. So that would be something that would be, normally found. So in this particular case, DNA is not a factor in exonerating him per se.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Thank you for that information. So the execution right now is scheduled for February the 7th. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct. It's from today to we have probably 15 days from right now. Can't quite
Give
count,
or take.
but
Give or
So
take.
my question to you, what is it that you need the public to do? our
Well,
listening
the
audience?
main thing right now we are doing is, first of all, getting the word out. We ask people to follow our work, to share, to speak to their communities. If people wanted to follow us on our social medias, it is MADPMO, and I'll say it again a little slower, MADPMO, and that's on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And we ask people to share our information. We post often, and to learn. A lot of people don't know what's going on with the death penalty. They don't necessarily know what's going on in this particular case. They don't understand that there are innocent people on death row as well.
Yes.
Raheem is not the only innocent person on our death row. Right. And so we invite people to learn and to share. And also, the last thing is, right now, we are imploring our prosecutor, Mr. Wesley Bell, to use his power in order to help Raheem. There is a new law in place. Circuit Attorney Gardner just used this law in December, and they had a hearing for another gentleman, Mr. Lamar Johnson, who also has an innocence claim. And we are asking Mr. Bell to use that same law to have a evidentiary hearing for Raheem, and that entails stopping the execution until they're able to have that evidentiary hearing. So right now, that is our plea.
Which makes a lot of sense, and I want to let you finish, but I want to jump in here. What they don't even pay attention to, somebody's been with you for 2 years. You got children. You fall in love with those kids, and you fall in love with this woman, and then something happens. They lock you up. You don't even have time to grieve. You don't have time to even start showing what you feel about what has happened to you. You just thrown into something like you're not even human. And then they paint you like that. Can you jump in there just a little bit on that, sister? Then I want you to start giving the information out again real slow, because we want to get as much as can out. I want you again on the show, on the radio next week. I mean, on our private line that we pray for people, and I'll get that number out too. But if you can just jump in and just address that, how there's a lot of them out there that have been falsely accused, and now you're looking at them as the victim, or the villain, I should say, and then you're not even talking about grieving time for them like they're not human.
That is very true. One of the first things that I spoke with Raheem was the fact that this was his family. This was just not, strangers.
Right.
These were people that he loved. He loved the children like they were his own, and he also loved Angela. And he was not able to grieve for his loved ones after they were murdered. He was arrested probably within a week and a half. And so that entire process was stopped because he had to now, fight the system, because now you're saying that I did this and I didn't do it. So he was not able to grieve. He was looked at, as some type of monster. Of course, Bob McCullough got on TV and called him every name under the sun.
Wow.
That wasn't true. But that is very true. He wasn't able to grieve. He has been demonized, and he has spent the last, 18, 19 years saying that he's innocent. And there is a story out that, he confessed. And I wanted to clear that up real quick. Raheem never confessed. What the confession was his brother telling the police that, yes, my brother did this. He told me he did it. But the brother said that under threat. And after he was being harassed and threatened. And he immediately took that back. So.
And wouldn't that be considered hearsay? I mean, I'm not an attorney, but that's, to me, not a great witness. That's hearsay, even though it was false.
Now, see, like you said, you're not even an attorney, and you understand that, yes. But, when you're a prosecutor, the prosecutors in trials always have the greater benefit of the doubt. Yeah. So, they're going to let stuff in or out on a prosecutor's side that they're not going to do for the defendant. And so, yes, there was definitely hearsay. They didn't have any recordings or anything of Raheem telling his brother this, but they got him to say this on tape, and then they started saying, Raheem Taylor confessed. And that was even, not only a misquote, it was a plain lie. They're lying because they're trying to put in the media and in the public that he confessed, and he never confessed. They're getting that from his brother. So this is what the system does to us in particular, right? all these dirty tricks in order to get us convicted and sentenced to life and death sentences. So we definitely implore our prosecutor, Mr. Bell, to look into this case, to ask the court to stop the execution and truly take a deep dive into this, because we have to have some type of justice in St. Louis that we've been denied for at least the 30 years that Bob McCullough was in office.
Can you do me one more favor? I want you to get that information out real kind of slow but quick, and then because we got less than 2 minutes, and then say something about why this death penalty thing need to be abolished. Can you give your information out real slow, real quick for me, please?
I can. So our organization website and our social media is MADPMO. And of course, you can always search Missouri death penalty, and we are the only organization in this state that does this work, so you will definitely find us. We have also a petition on change.org that's basically Justice for Raheem at change.org. And so there are many ways you can, get involved, follow our work, and learn. And as far as why the death penalty needs to be stopped, abolished, and repealed in our state and in a federal government, is because it doesn't help anything. It doesn't fix anything. It doesn't bring the victims back. It's very expensive. And actually, it traumatizes the family of the victims, because when you have a death sentence, you don't stop going to court. Once you're convicted, you have appeal after appeal. From Raheem is still in appeals. It's 20 years later. And so the victims' families are always re-traumatized because they have to keep going to court. But if you had a life sentence, per se, if there was somebody who did something and got a life sentence, the victim's family don't have to go to court. The person just goes to prison and does their time. So death penalty is something that re-traumatizes even victims. So we need to stop, re-traumatizing victims and traumatizing our community overall.
One more time, get that information out. We got about 30 seconds left. Get it out one more time, the information, please. Real slow again, please.
Change.org/Justice for Raheem. MADPMO on our socials and website. And if you even search, Justice for Raheem on Facebook or Twitter, you will get to our work. So we hashtag, we make sure that it's very easy for people to find us. So Justice for Raheem on all social media platforms.
Thank you so much for the work that you've done over the years and what you just did and what you're doing for February the 7th to try to stop this, and what you did with Kevin Johnson, and just the work you do, period. Thank you for giving that information out. Thank you for coming in this morning or calling in this morning. We appreciate you. We got to get ready to go to a break.
Thank you. All right.
Have a good day.
You too.
Yes, ma'am. Bye.
Thank you. Guys, we thank you for tuning in to the Freeman Bosley Jr. Show. Keep it on lock and quit playing.
Come on, say it right. Keep it on lock and stop playing.
Stop playing.
Oh!
Okay.
Hallelujah 16.
Yep.
Good morning and welcome back to the Freeman Bosley Jr. Show, where we
morning,
keep it
good
on
morning,
lock
good
and
morning.
quit playing. All right. We're back. That was a great segment with Sister Michelle Smith. This segment, we're going to kind of shift gears, and we want to introduce to some our state rep from the 12th District, State Rep, the Honorable State Representative Jamie Johnson. Good morning, and welcome.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Yes, thank you. And so we do appreciate you just stopping by this morning to say, to speak to the listening audience. I realized I read that you built your campaign on building a thriving community for all. And I just
Yes.
want to give a hands up and clap it up, guys, because she flipped the house. She flipped the house. Awesome news. When I heard that, I was like, we have to have. So tell our audience a little bit about yourself and where you're from.
Sure. So I am originally from New Orleans, Louisiana. I actually was born in Los Angeles, but I grew up in New Orleans. Went to high school in New Orleans. So I consider New Orleans my hometown. I actually, I guess, evacuated New Orleans for Hurricane Katrina and ended up in Kansas City, where I have some retired military family who live in Leavenworth, Kansas. And Kansas City, North Kansas City is just a few minutes, about 20 minutes from them in Leavenworth. So that's how I got to the Kansas City area. I have 3 children, one daughter who is a senior in college at Texas A&M Corpus Christi, my 19-year-old who just recently graduated from high school and is hoping to be a firefighter soon in the firefighter class, and then I have a 12-year-old. So, I'm really excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
And ready to serve.
Yes.
I know you all attended earlier this week the State of the State address, where some great promising information was provided. As you begin to serve your district, District 12, what are some things that you're looking to accomplish?
Well, a lot of what was mentioned in the State of the State was really exciting information. It was an interesting slant on what the governor has promised and what the governor has done in the past. Okay. So I am excited for some of the promises he made around alleviating maternal mortality, because we know that those rates are high in Missouri, and also teacher pay. I know Park Hill School District, which is in my district, is one of the largest employers in Platte County. So we're excited about helping those teachers be able to make a living wage all across the state.
Okay.
State Representative, can I jump in? This is Brother Anthony Shahid.
Sure.
Under District 12, tell us what you cover. What's under you?
Yeah, absolutely. So District 12 is the southern tip of Platte County in Missouri. So it is just north of the river. I have a little bit of Kansas City in my district, some very small areas of Kansas City in my district. I also have Parkville, Missouri, Riverside, Missouri, and then some other smaller municipalities. Platte Woods and Houston Lake, and so my district is just north of the river, just north of Kansas City, about 20 minutes from downtown Kansas City.
Okay, you got a little area then, huh? You flipped that, yeah. So you done did a lot of flipping, like you tumbling or something.
Oh yeah, my district is in composition. Let's just talk about racial composition. It's about 87% white, and there's not a whole lot of people who look like me, but I am proud to represent this district. They're proud that they elected me. I am the first Black state representative elected from Platte County, so I'm really proud of that designation.
Hold on, I gotta do a clap. Hold. Pump your brakes for a minute. Pump your brakes.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And flip the house.
Yeah, flip the house. Come on, finish. Because for you to say 87% who you represent, you had to come in here talking good talk and be able to bag up what you was talking about, because that just don't happen. But go ahead.
Absolutely. And people ask me how I do it and how I did it. And I
I knocked on their doors and I talked to them. It's really hard to make someone a villain who is standing in your face and showing you pictures of their kids and telling you, giving you stories, anecdotes about things that we have in common. So, it was a lot of work. When I tell you we had over 20,000 contacts in various forms during our campaign, we almost knocked on, we at least touched every door in our campaign, whether that was a lit drop or a door knock or a call or a text message or a lot of handwritten postcards. I think we ordered about 5,000 postcards and had some of my older constituents who were unable to do the walking. They wrote postcards for us. It was such a full circle moment. At one point, I had a couple of octogenarians who wrote postcards to all of the new voters. So I had my 80-year-olds writing postcards to the 18-year-olds and saying, welcome to adulthood. You can vote. We expect you to get out to the polls. And it worked. So we're really proud to be here.
So the last question, because the brother Charles Wally is reaching, and I don't want to stop him from doing his question. Tell me about your 19-year-old and the 12-year-old. How did they get involved? I know they was all in that. I know they was all over that.
Honestly, my boys are, they are into anime and video games and football and all the things. And I'm like, you want to come walk with me? I'm going to knock some doors. And they're like, no.
Oh, wait.
So, but the funny thing about it is now that I'm elected and I'm talking about all these policies like sports betting and all of this kind of stuff, they're like, oh, that's interesting. I was like, see what your government can do for you? And so now they're interested. During the campaign, they didn't want, any parts of it. But now that I'm elected and talking policy, they're like, oh, wait, that does affect me. So they're super interested now.
Yeah, well, that's powerful, too. And Secretary, give me one more chance. A lot of people don't understand what it is to be away from your family and to try to get them involved, too, because being away from them and them growing up, and you got to try to deal with all these areas that you just got to saying that you represent now. And those people don't want to hear nothing about your children, but don't forget about your children. I understand what you got to do, and you the first, but you got to always, I learned that from Mayor Bosley. He said you got to always remember to take 1 day or 2 days, but especially 1 day with those children because they grew up so fast. And the next thing you know, those children been grown on up. You out of office. All those people you done did all those tumbles for, they done forgot you, but the time that you're away from your children, you can't replace that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'll tell you a story about that. When I first was considering running for office, I talked to my kids. My 19-year-old said, don't do it. But my 12-year-old, who I guess was 11 at the time, he said, will you have the opportunity to help people? And I said, I think I will be able to help a lot of people. And he said, well, I support you, and I think you should do it. So it was, but I hear what you're saying. I will say my ex-husband and I have a great co-parenting relationship. And so we've been able to work it out to where I get to spend as much time as possible with the kids when I'm home. And then while I'm in Jeff City, he takes care of everything. So,
Awesome.
Beautiful.
Nothing like co-parenting. I want to kind of go back to a discussion that you and I had when I was visiting the day after. I think it was the day after you were sworn in. And I stopped by your office and I said, what made you run? And it was funny what you said. I mean, not funny, but, you said, the person that was running is what made me run. And so sometimes in life, it's not something that we feel like we want to do. It's like, it's something that we have to do. Tell our listening audience about that.
Absolutely. So I had been asked to run for state representative by my legislative neighbor, my district neighbor, Representative Ashley Arney, who's in the 14th district. And I immediately said no because, I'm a Black woman. The district is, not. It's predominantly white. And I was like, I just think it's going to be really hard. And, I don't know what to expect. And so she persevered and continued to ask. And then we found out, I was also asked by several other people in the community. And then I found out who was running on the Republican ticket. And this gentleman had some dealings in the community. People don't really care for him, and that's because of the way his behavior in the community and how he's treated people. He was actively suing our school board at the time because of some issues that his son had with the school and had gotten in trouble for some things. And when I found out that was the person who was going to possibly be our state representative by acclamation, because at the time before I decided to run, nobody was going to run. There was he would have been unopposed. And I decided that I did not want him to be my state representative. And if it means that I had to stand in the gap and oppose, then that's what I was going to do. And here we are. You know, I like to say that, you know, it's sometimes the magic happens, right? Where you're the right person at the right time with the right opponent, with the right team of volunteers, and magic happens. And I really believe that that's what happened in this case.
Magic and work. You knocked on doors, you made phone calls, your team, you did the work. They say faith without works is dead. You did the work. So magic and work. But I
will say that there were some hard days. There were days where I was like, all right, God, you said if I take one step, you're going to take two.
I know, right?
You come on and carry me because I can't do this.
Right. Did you call and say, Lord, just take 4? I'm going to take 1, you take 4 today.
Right. I need some help today.
Yes.
So, yeah, no, it was a lot of work, but it was worth it. It was absolutely worth it. I'm really proud to represent this community.
Yes, so I see that you all have received your committee assignments, and so I'm looking at children and families. And what you're saying, I know you ran your campaign talking about the education system and about family, so I'm sure you're elated to be on that particular committee. So you want to talk about some of the committees that you're holding, or?
Oh, absolutely. So I picked up emerging issues, which I'm also really excited about. A lot of interesting topics comes through that committee. I also have children and families. And then just today, I picked up consent and the consent committee and admin and accounts. So admin and accounts is pretty much the committee. You know, consent and admin and accounts are pretty easy committees. They are the ones who govern our business dealings in terms of taxpayer funding, how representatives spend taxpayer funding, what's approved, that kind of thing. Emerging issues, of course, that's anything that kind of doesn't fit anywhere else. So, for instance, some of the governor's priorities that he spoke about today will likely go through emerging issues. Sports betting VLTs will go through sports betting, and separately VLTs will go through emerging issues. And then children and families, I'm really excited about that one. We have a lot of foster families in my district, and so I'm excited to be able to give back in that way and help some people out and answer some questions for them. And of course, get some good legislation passed and prevent some bad legislation. So I'm excited about all of the committees that I've been assigned to.
Awesome. That's great information. Thank you for sharing. I see that you are passionate about helping our veterans.
About what?
Helping the veterans. Your father was in the military.
Oh, absolutely.
And 11 other family members were in the military.
Yes, I was actually assigned to Veterans Committee. So things kind of shift around in the House where you're assigned to the committees, and then when they do the scheduling, maybe there's some conflict. So I had veterans and children and families, and those two were scheduled at the same time. And so our staff came to me and said, which one do you want, children and families or veterans? And I was like, that's a really, really hard choice.
Yes.
So, but I trusted, being that I am a military brat, a military child, rather than a former inactive member of the military, I defer to those leaders within our caucus who are veterans, and I'm sure they will do a great job. And, being a mom and being part of a blended family was really important for me to do children and families. So I did choose that one. But I'm looking forward to working with everyone on everything, really, honestly.
I want to jump in one more time and say, you said you had some hard days when you first started.
Yes.
They're not going to stop.
Oh, I know.
Yeah, and that's why, and I know you got to be spirited, because that's why those prayers come in that you said you called on God and asked Him to, every day you wake up, He gives us another opportunity at this thing called life to try to get it right and to try to serve your constituents and to still deal with your family. Because you got to do a what do you call it, a balance act? What do you call it when you're throwing up things?
Life work balance.
Yeah, whatever it's called when you're trying to make everything balance. You're doing here, you're over there, you're over there, but you got to still make sure don't nothing fall. And it's like a carpenter; they got to make sure that bubble is straight when they doing something on. So you got to make sure whatever you're doing, but just keep what got you there is what you got to keep doing. But I keep overemphasizing the fact, because I've been around a lot of politicians. Those children grew up so fast, not just in politics, period. When you sit and look and see how fast your children grew up, I'm quite sure you can see how fast your 19-year-old grew up. He's talking about being a firefighter now.
Absolutely.
And now your 12-year-old, he's doing M&A and all that old kind of stuff. 12 years are going to pass by again for him, and 19 years are going to pass by again for your son. So just try to make sure those moments are very important. But go ahead, go on, finish talking. I want you to get your information. I don't know why I keep on coming back there to you.
No, you do. We are doing fine. This is a great interview, so thank you so much for having me. But yeah, no, I am. It's really important. We spend a lot of good quality time together when I'm at home, and this first part of the session has been really easy so far. So we're working into a routine now that I hope we'll be able to continue. And I know that there will be some adjustments that need to be made, but I think we're prepared. We were prepared well before I got elected with the campaign.
What would you say is your biggest challenge ahead?
I think I'm prepared to take on some really big fights with some really big and powerful industries in order to affect change in the area of maternal mortality. And so I think that'll be my challenge is building the relationships that I need to build a coalition that is willing to take on, even a bipartisan coalition that is willing to take on some of these larger industries in order to protect people and keep people from dying when they needlessly. I'll say that. We'll keep people from dying needlessly. The governor said today
this week.
The governor said a couple of days ago during the State of the State that 75% of the maternal mortality cases are preventable. That's ridiculous. And so I think that there are ways in which we can affect that, but we will need to have some really big fights. And I'm ready. So yeah, I think that'll be my biggest challenge is to just be prepared for some of those larger fights.
Well, that's because some people's mind is always on money. They don't never get off of money. We have a saying in Islam, me being a Muslim, they worry about dollar, but they forget about Allah. They got to remember Allah and stop worrying about dollar, because money going to come if you're doing what's right. But when you can just start killing, you're saying 75% is preventable. At least you said the governor said that, and they not trying to stop it no kind of way. Then that's what you was elected to. That's why you say you ran, because you seen who was running, so you understood you had to run, and now you can see it better why you have to run, because if you don't, just look how many people would be here. And I'll take 30 seconds and get this off. It's a thing that a movie that a long time ago said, "If I wasn't here." And if you wasn't here, look what would be happening if you wasn't here in this position. If Brother Charles Wally Abdul this morning was not here, if Sister Secretary Felicia or Brother Seth, or either Brother, a new person that's coming here. Think about now that Brother Demetrius Johnson is not here. How it affects us. You're there now. And the mere fact that you're there now, and Brother Kevin is here, and everybody else is here, it can make a big difference. But if you was not here, think about it like that.
Right. Absolutely. And I think about that every day. I have a sign in my office, a frame sign, just decor that says, "You are exactly where you're supposed to be." And so I look at that every day and I say, these people elected me for a reason. And so it's not, I would be doing them a disservice to sit in that chair on the House floor being quiet, or sit in that committee hearing being quiet and letting things happen around me when I need to use my voice to speak up to protect people. So if we got to make some good trouble, we got to make some good trouble, because we need to protect the people of Missouri.
So one quick question, if you can take about 30 seconds, how was the freshman tour? Were you able to make that tour?
Yes, I was.
You enjoyed it?
It was phenomenal. I had such a great time learning about a lot of different industries, learning about all the things that we do in Missouri. I will say that it was such a whirlwind, though, because we had 3 to 4 stops a day for a full week. And I think by Wednesday, I was like, I don't know where we are. I don't know what day it is. I don't know what time it is. I don't know where we're going next. But, it doesn't matter. We're just going. We're just going. And I'm that type of person where people are like, do you want to? Yes, I want to go.
Yes.
You don't need to. I'm going. We're going.
Yes.
Let's go.
Well, listen. We thank you for joining us this morning. We want you to give your information back out.
30 seconds
and
left,
we
but
definitely want to have you back on our show again. So go ahead and give your information
we're gonna have
out.
her on the program,
and we're
going
going
to reach out to her about too. But can you give
Go
your
ahead.
information out?
Yes, sir.
Yes, absolutely. So
30 seconds.
You want my email address? It's Jamie, JAMIE.Johnson@house.mo.gov, and then you can reach me there, or look me up on the website and give me a call at the Capitol.
All right, State Rep Johnson, quick question. If we came to Kansas City, what barbecue spot would you recommend that we stop at?
Okay, so I am going to make a lot of people mad, but there is a place in KCK that's called, I think it's called Slaps.
Not
Barbecue.
Gates?
I gotta look at the name. I'm not sending you to Gates. I'm not sending you to Jack Stack.
Hey, text it to me. Text it to me so I can share with our audience.
We got 10 seconds left.
We thank you for being on our show this morning. Thank you for your time.
Listening to it.
You're listening to
I
the
appreciate it. Thank you for having
absolutely.
me. Listen to
the Freeman Bosley Jr. show. Keep it on lock.
Quit playing. Oh. Secretary.
Good morning, good morning, good morning, St. Louis. Welcome back. We have had a great show this morning, and we have yet more to go. In this studio this morning, I have none other than Brother Emmett Coleman, who is running for alderman for the 10th ward. He is running for alderman for the 10th ward. And I'm going to just give you a little bit of his bio here. He said, I was born and raised in the city of St. Louis. I am a realtor. A realist with NAREB, residential real estate developer, and co-owner of a construction company. I have brought in over $800,000 in private capital to rehab long vacant residential homes within the ward over the last 2 years. And I am a board member of the West End Neighborhood Association, where I serve as the vice president and beautification chair. And I'm going to end with that. And the reason I'm stopping there, because the night that I met Brother Emmett Coleman, I don't know, was it after about 9:30, 10 o'clock at night?
No, it gets early.
Was
It
it-
gets dark early. It was about 6:30.
Let me go back now, because Olympia Kitchen shut down at 9:30, and I know that I was coming through the neighborhood, and you were out, and Brother Dale Taylor pulled over. He jumped out, and so it had to be after 9:30, but before 10. And you were picking up trash.
Yeah, you're right. It was around 9:30.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Because I had just got one of my favorite meals from Olympia. And so, so you were out picking up trash, like you say, the beautification of the neighborhood, and you were actually out there by yourself,
Right. Absolutely.
right? And for those who don't know, Brother Dale Taylor is the elected official for the 84th District, which is, he covers your ward,
Right.
all right?
Right.
And so tell us, well, first of all, welcome.
Thank you.
Good morning.
Welcome.
Good morning. Thank you
Good
for
morning.
coming to the
And good
studio.
morning.
Thank you for having me.
And you
Yes.
brought your posse with you, but I'm not going to go off into that. I'm not going to say Miss Juanita's name because that's not none of my business. It slipped out. Go ahead. Go ahead. Let me.
I want to say, first of all, like we said, good morning. And you're running for alderman.
Yes, ma'am.
What made you want to run? What is it that you see?
Oh, I see a acceptance of mediocrity. I don't see the leadership that I expect. I don't see the strive for improving our neighborhoods like I would expect. You know, I've lived in the West End neighborhood a little bit over a year now, and prior to that, we had purchased 2 homes. Probably the vacant since '85. I would imagine is the last mail that I saw from '85. So they've been long vacant properties, 3-story canopies on 2 houses right in the middle of the block on my block, facing a semi. You would think it was private street, but it's not private. But it's a one-way in, one-way out cul-de-sac with a gate called Thornby Place. So my business partner and I purchased that property. We purchased the one from the MLS for about $10,000. There's an LRA property, which is also probably one of the worst LRA properties in the city at the time. Hard to believe, right? But we purchased that property as well for $1,000. I mean, that had a 3-story canopy as well, a canopy tree that had fallen and broken the fence, and there was electrical line it wasn't live, but it was underneath the tree. So it was a disaster, you know, and you know, we started working on that property, clearing the lot, things to that nature, brought a lot of interest on our particular block. You know, met some neighbors, and I met them through a committee person that was a long, you know, lived committee person by the name of Joe Palm, you know, and he kind of.
Yes, I know Joe Palm.
Yeah, so, you know, let's go back to 2015, maybe 14. I was riding through on his old street, Clemens Place, which is cul-de-sac as well. It's, you know, one way in, one way out, off of Belt in Visitation Park neighborhood. And we were looking for a house because I was always been interested. I mean, my parents lived in the neighborhood for the last 11 years, you know, and I've been around because I had friends in the neighborhood. So I've been around. Like, I knew the neighborhood ins and outs. I knew the issues with the different neighborhoods, especially West End, Visitation Park, and Academy. I'm very familiar with those neighborhoods, you know, and he stopped me because, you know, he's like, well, what are you doing? Because this is a one-way street, and we, you know, I grew up here. I know all the neighbors. You're foreign to our street, you know. So I said, okay, you know, we're just looking at this house, blah blah blah. He's like, oh, okay, well, I'm the committee man. Gave me his card, and a year later, you know, I met him at somebody's house in my old neighborhood. We were knocking doors for him for his candidacy. So we talked, and he's kind of the reason why we decided to invest over there, because he made me feel good about his leadership in the community, and some different things that we can help to improve the community, you know? So, you know, we found those properties, and fast forward back to, you know, 2019, you know, we purchased these properties. We brought some investors in to rehab these properties, because I've always been interested in improving neighborhoods. I've always been involved in improving neighborhoods. You know, my first house was a rehab project that my old alderman said that he wanted to get torn down before I bought it. So, you know, it took me 11 years to purchase that property. I mean, I'm sorry, not purchase, but rehab that property after purchasing it. So, you know, I've always had a fascination and a will to bring these beautiful old homes back and bring our beautiful neighborhoods back. So, you know, I decided to move on the block that we purchased other properties. I had the opportunity to purchase my home, and you know, it needs a little bit of work, but we're working on it, and I'm happy to be there. So, which turns me back to now, it's like, you know, as soon as we moved from the south side, you know, I already knew the issues. I wanted to make a difference, and so I became beautification chair. 2 years ago, I had 2 neighborhood cleanups. Thanks to Operation Brightside, to provide dumpsters and tools and things of that nature. And I had known that, you know, we can utilize Brightside, you know, St. Louis to have events to pick up trash and do plantings for flowers and things like that. That's just, you know, what we did in my old neighborhood. So I brought that to the West End, you know, and decided to do that. I had 2 cleanups, wasn't enough. We had a quarterly cleanup last year. And I found that, you know, there's very little support from our leadership, you know, especially our alderwoman. So, you know, I just know that we can do better. There's a lot of little things that need to be done that's not being done. It's kind of neglected. It's kind of, people have been complacent with this is just how it is, you know, and they haven't been, they're just used to this is how it's always been. And I'm trying to change the narrative to, hey, we can actually do better. We can always do better. We can strive to do better. We can get the derelict cars off the street. You know, we can get the trash picked up. We can deal with the illegal dumping. You know, the gunshots and the violent crime is an atrocity, you know, and we've been used to that because we've witnessed that. We've been born around it. We've seen it our whole lives. And we think that, you know, that's just become the norm, which it shouldn't, you know. So, yeah, I think that me not trying to have an alliance with any one particular group of people, and me with the ability that I know I have to play well in the sandbox in a way, you know, and get things done, and my effectiveness, I think will bring a lot of goodwill to our neighborhoods, you know. And now with ward reduction, we have 8 neighborhoods, including Forest Park, you know. So we have White Owl, Skinker to Bolivar, the Bolivar Place, West End, Visitation Park, Academy, Fountain Park, and Lewis Place. And it also includes, like I said, Forest Park. So it's a huge ward now.
Yes.
And we have a unique opportunity now with ward reduction in our 10th ward, because from my perspective, we're going to be the most diverse in the city.
Can I jump in and ask you, how old are you?
I just turned 40 in September.
Okay, you look so young.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I try to stay young.
You look like you're about 20-some years old. So I should have said 20 times. If you hadn't said it, I wouldn't even believe that.
I appreciate it.
So you've been honest on the radio now, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. You can check my ID.
Hey, I'm just telling you, you look young, bro.
I appreciate it.
Okay, so something you're doing right. You know, you focus in and understanding you got to take care of your health.
Absolutely.
So that means, because you ain't going to be able to be around here if you ain't taking care of your health. That means everything. But I just thought I would ask that question because she gave me an impression with somebody older. And when you walked around there, I'm like, damn, who is this?
Right.
So I didn't know who. Okay, go back.
No, you're fine. Well, the
Keep
gray
on.
hairs, it gives away a little bit.
I seen that, but I done seen people young with gray hairs.
Right.
Sometimes it's hereditary.
Right.
Okay.
And that's what rehabs do too. You know?
Okay. So you've been doing rehab, and you and your partner for.
Well, yeah, my partner and I. So I met my business partner in the Shaw neighborhood. That's where I used to live. So I had a house on Russell. Like I said, I was working on that. He lives on Magnolia.
Okay.
So I met him at one of our little neighborhood Cheers bars,
Okay.
bar restaurant, and I started having conversations with him, and he's like, yeah, I'm a carpenter. I'm like, well, I need some help,
Okay.
And I was just learning, how to do things on my own, and he came in and helped me build a closet, then he came in and helped me build another closet, and then we came in and rebuilt the deck and a front porch, and then we started a business.
So the main thing is carpentry, or it's really the whole rehab. What?
Well, on mine, I didn't have a choice. I was paycheck to paycheck. I was
Okay, I understand.
26 when I got my first house,
Okay.
And I
Well,
utilized.
a lot of them don't get no house in no 26.
Right.
They go to get an apartment. But go ahead.
Right. But my parents, I saw them. They came from practically humble beginnings. They came from practically, I wouldn't say nothing, but they didn't have much. So I saw them rise above their situations. In Meacham Park and North St. Louis and Penrose and East St. Louis, and they came up and they did what was necessary after they, knew that I was on the way and did what was necessary to make it better for me. So I learned a lot from them.
So the property you got, are y'all doing the total rehab? Because I heard you say $10,000 and $1,000 on one of them.
Yep.
So y'all doing pretty much each
Oh,
and
yeah.
everything in the
Yep.
houses.
Yep.
Well, that's really good because you get a chance to learn everything.
Everything.
Carpentry is good, but I've been in the construction trades for well over 45 years now, so it's something I know pretty good now. So that's good. You'll get a chance to learn how to put floors in, the joints in. You'll learn how to lower the ceilings. You'll learn how to
yeah.
paint. You already know how to do a closet now. I
Right.
just heard you put that out.
Carport,
Carport,
porches,
that's good.
decks,
That's good.
garages.
Okay.
Yeah, we've done all that. California carports, whatever.
Okay.
Yep.
Well, go ahead, Secretary. I didn't mean to just steal your show.
Oh, you're fine.
But you caught me off guard when you told me who was coming. Then he put his head around here, and now he's saying he's 40. And I ain't talking about what he want to be. He's saying that's what it is.
All right now. So let's go back to your desire for the ward that you're hoping to be elected in. What we talked about beautification, and you just kind of hinted a little bit about the crime and the gun violence. What other role or plans do you have? Because you have that gas station down on the corner there. What is that? Delmar?
Delmar.
Okay, so we have that gas station. We have other areas throughout that ward
Right.
that, high crime, drugs, and that kind of thing. What would be some steps that you would take within your power as an alderman to correct those issues?
Well, as everybody should know, if we don't know, we don't have enough resources for drug rehab facilities. Short-term homelessness, housing that deals with homelessness, so they can lay their heads at night. I mean, we do have it when we open up our shelters, temporary shelters, when it's, below zero or when it's below freezing. But, we don't have highly accessible housing, for people who are homeless or people who have drug addiction that, might want to kick the habit or might have gotten in trouble and they need to kick the habit, So I would want to get funding, and to develop housing for the unhoused and people who have a drug addiction, And I want it in several different neighborhoods to be accessible. It's a difference when you have a few of them and one's on South Broadway and one's downtown and one's somewhere, and you have somebody, like you said, you said the BP, we have a huge problem with, drug deals going on there, and we have people who are addicted to opioids. You can tell, you can see it. I see them walking up and down the street, and that's a high priority because that's a hot zone for that particular gas station. Has been a hot zone for drug activity and drug use, and we see it every day. It's not it's not hidden. It's out in the open. It's not like I'm saying anything to anybody who travels down Delmar doesn't see on a daily basis or nightly basis. I mean, you saw it when you drove down
Yeah.
just the other night, you know.
Is that Delmar and Goodfellow? Or what
Yeah,
are you
it's
talking about?
Delmar and Goodfellow.
Oh, that's been there for
Forever. Right. And so, you know, I've talked to a couple of the guys who, you know, are on drugs, and they wanted to help work on our properties and stuff like that. And I'm like, well, look, I said, go somewhere, get some help, go to People's, go somewhere. You need to go get help because you're gonna die. It's not a matter of when. I mean, you know, if, it's a matter of when and where. I said, and I don't want to be the person because, you know, you're working on a house down the street and I constantly see you every day. I don't want to give you money to help us do any type of work. And then all of a sudden I'm down the street and I see the ambulance coming and they put you in a body bag. Like, how would I feel? You know, but they need to be able to walk past a place every day and see this facility there waiting for them to help them, you know? And
Yes.
it's different when you have to catch 2 buses to get to Broadway. It's out of sight, out of mind, right? But what if we have facilities in each of our neighborhoods where, you know, every day they walk past, maybe one day they're like, okay, this is the day. You know what I'm saying? But we need the funding and we need the development of these type of housing. If we get temporary housing, we can get the help, get people the help they need. So we can find out what they need because everybody's different, you know. Everybody needs different things, and find out what they need, give them the resources they need as far as mental health services, maybe medication, maybe, you know, drug addiction services. But we need things like that to help with these issues that we have, and it's really not readily available, you know, to the majority of our St. Louisans.
Right. Is there anything that you would like to add that I did not cover? I know there's a lot that we could talk about because
Right.
I want to talk about healthcare and education. Again, gun safety, you know, it's a lot to talk about. But you share, because we have about 3 minutes left to this segment, something that you feel like we might have missed that is key and important.
Well, I mean, the one thing that's most important to me in the overall realm is, you know, now we're the new 10th Ward. We have the 8 neighborhoods I said, plus Forest Park, okay? We have neighborhoods north of Delmar. We have neighborhoods south of Delmar. Right now is a unique opportunity for our neighborhood, our community in the 10th Ward to set an example, right, regionally and nationally, because we can improve our neighborhoods. We can develop sustainable development down Delmar, you know, create sustainable development down MLK, you know, at some point. And we can do all this while retaining our diversity. And that's something that nobody else in St. Louis would be able to say as of yet, you know, because we talk about gentrification, you talk about the different issues we have. And, you know, I think that it's important for us to deal with the small issues as far as the legal dumping, as far as the quality of life issues and the you know, property crime and the, you know, we don't have much violence, but we do hear gunshots occasionally. You know, but everybody does, and we have, and that's a whole nother animal. I mean, we'll be here for another 2 hours talking about the different things that has to do with violence and the effects of that, right? But you know, we have a rare opportunity, and we can set that example, like I said, regionally and nationally. So I think it's most important now than ever to get out there and do my part to become a leader, a strong leader that can accomplish that.
Absolutely.
What I
Go
want
ahead
to
and
do,
tell our
Doc,
listening audience how they can contact
That's what I
you.
want you to do. 'Cause
Thank
we only
you.
got about a minute left. Tell them how to catch you. How would they get in contact with you, young man?
You can call me, you can text me, you can email me at any time. Again, my name's Emmett Coleman. Okay, my slogan's Coleman for Excellence because, you know, we should expect excellence.
Yes.
You know, and my contact info is on my website, colemanforexcellence.com. All my contact info is on that. My email address is colemanforthemighty10th@gmail. And you can catch me at any point. You can go to my social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and you can reach me that way. So
One more time,
Thank
real
you.
slow. Give me one more time. We got about 10 seconds, but if you can get to me in about 10 seconds, one more time, please.
Phone number.
phone number is 314-629-1321.
All right.
ColemanForExcellence.com. ColemanForTheMighty10th@gmail.com. So
All right.
please reach out to me.
And thank you so much. Go ahead, Brother Shaheed.
Thank you so much for coming in. I still ain't got off and looking so young, but we're going to keep it professional right here because I don't know if you done tricked me or not. And thank you for bringing Ms. Juanita here. We got 10 seconds left, so can you close us out, my sister?
Absolutely. Go ahead and tag 10 friends and bring them in and stick with us. You're listening to the Freeman Bosley Jr. Show. Keep it on lock.
Well, quit playing.
All right. Welcome back. Welcome back. Wasn't this a great show? What you think? Welcome back to the Freeman Bosley Jr. Show. I should say that first. Now, wasn't this a great show?
Yeah, we done covered so much stuff today. It's pathetic. We just left with Brother Coleman for excellence for the 10th area. We just got through doing Sister Michelle Smith. She covered the area, and the first state representative, what was my sister's name?
Jamie.
Sister Jamie.
Jamie Johnson. Flipped the house.
Sister Jamie Johnson. She did some acrobatic stuff. She tumbled. 87% that she's represented as white, and she's the first black, so we appreciate that. And I'm going to just cover a couple of things, too, because Ramadan is closely approaching. We got really about 8 weeks before Ramadan, and that's when over 2 billion Muslims around the world will be fasting, so I want to make sure I get that out. Inshallah, we'll be doing a lot of reading during that time, and as we start getting closer, I'll start talking about it. But Ramadan is fastly approaching. We always say right about now, Ramadan is in the air, and it's the biggest thing that happens on the planet, because anytime you have 2 billion people along with the people that we invite, because you got family members, so it's usually really half of the whole globe, the whole world, the whole planet is fasting during the month of Ramadan. And as a matter of fact, we can have somebody like Sister Secretary Felicia get up with us in the morning reading, and sometimes your mom listens, and it's a beautiful thing to have everybody reading so much a day. It's broke down to the Quran 1/30. So in 30 days, we complete the Holy Quran. Every year, Muslims complete the Quran through from front to back. I want to give Brother Set a chance to jump in there, too. I kind of got Ramadan, but he had a piece that he was going to do. So, Set, close. Do you mind jumping in for a minute there, young man?
Yes, sir. So I was.
I forgot you, didn't you? No, I don't forget.
I appreciate it. I was watching the news this morning with my mother, as always, usually around 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock.
You up early in the morning. On Saturday mornings, you up like this every morning, all week long, huh?
Yeah, always. Yep. Got to get up for work, so got to be up and ready to go. So I was watching the news, and there was a murder that happened in Southern California. It was 6 family members: a father, mother, 2 sons, a daughter, and then the daughter had a child. about 2 years old, maybe a little bit younger, and they were all killed execution style by the drug cartel.
You told me that.
And it really messed up. And I really just wanted to tell that story to give out advice to any adults that are listening. Make sure you know what your kids are doing and who they're hanging out with, whether it's friends, a girlfriend, a boyfriend, significant other, whatever the situation is. Always know that if they're in a situation, or tell them if you're in a situation where if your instinct tells you that something's not right or something doesn't feel right, it's probably not right. And I also want to give advice again to the adults to say that don't put yourself in a situation that will harm your family.
Yes.
Because it turns out with this story, the parents were involved in gang affiliation. So they were somehow tied to the drug cartel. And I guess, how they say, you mess with the bulls, you get the horn.
Yeah.
So
you saying they came and executed? Who all was executed?
It was a mother, a father, 2 sons, a daughter, and then the daughter had a less than 2-year-old.
That's deep.
And they were all killed execution style. And people like that, when a gang or a drug cartel, whatever the case, when they are that powerful and that vicious, they will wipe out everybody. They leave no witness behind. So don't put yourself in a situation where you're messing with people where if you cross them and your family is home, they're going to take all you out. It's not just going to be you. They're going to take out everybody. So that's really just my advice for the day. When I saw that story, first it was heartbreaking. Anytime a 2-year-old dies and they're defenseless and they don't know what's going on, they have no idea. But it was the parents that caused this entire thing. So again, my advice, make sure you know who your children are associating themselves with. Like I said, whether it's a friend, significant other, whatever the case. And then also, if you're the adult that is using drugs or being involved, I'm not going to tell anybody how to live their life. You make your own decisions. But if you do mess with somebody like that, you need to know what they are fully capable of, which is hard to get a grasp on. So always make sure know who you're messing with, because you don't know what they're capable of.
Yeah.
Thank you for
2
times you done came in with powerful things. So every week, now what you done did, you done started something. So every week, if you ain't got something to say, you're going to have a problem this morning. I'm going to figure out how to take the mic. You know how they cut us off? We be thinking we talking, they're not talking. I'm going to figure out how to do him like that, too. I want to say one other thing to Brother Charles. I want you to definitely jump in, being a long-time co-host, too, and Mayor Bosley going to be excited. I want to give a shout-out to Basic. It's a drug and alcohol program, and Brother Mike Batchman. I had to call Brother Mike Batchman early this week because one of the brothers told me from the street, brother, I heard you talking about Basic all the time. I heard they're a powerful group, and his mother had OD. They were able to kick the door in and jump through there and get her, what it needed to do is a Norcaine to bring her back. But at the same time, Brother Mike Batchman and them came in and showed up and showed out. So I just wanted to say, for Basic, a drug or alcohol program, I believe that number is 314-621-9009, 314-621-9009. Make sure that you call them and give them a shout out. And once y'all say something, then I'll make sure I give that Ramadan number, or Juma prayer number out too. So you want to jump in?
Absolutely, guys. I just wanted to remind you all, March the 7th is the municipal primary election. And so the last day to register to vote for that election is February the 8th. February the 8th is the last day to register for the March 7th primary election. All right? And so next week we'll give you some of the candidates are on the list, because they have decreased the number of wards that we have. And we have some interesting candidates on the ballot this year. So we'll cover some of that on next week.
And if I could mention, I just want to talk a little bit real quickly about gun safety. A lot of us have guns in our homes, and they're supposed to be used for protection. And 9 times out of 10, we end up using them on ourselves instead of the people breaking in. So learn gun safety, buy gun locks. I've personally been on scenes where children have got guns and shot themselves. Children play with the guns and end up shooting a cousin or a brother. So those guns that we get for protection are usually turned on us, in a domestic situation or in a crime of passion. So if you're going to have a gun, learn gun safety, get you a gun lock, have it locked up in a safe. And, even the case that happened earlier within the week of the
3-year-old. Seems like I heard about a 3-year-old.
No, there was a 6-year-old that shot the teacher in Virginia.
I heard about that too, but I heard about a 3-year-old well, I'll have more details on it next week, but I'm
Yes.
positive what I'm talking about. But you're right on what you're talking about.
And they got the gun was locked up, and they went and got the gun. So children are sophisticated. So let's do more gun safety if we're going to have these guns inside of our homes.
I want to jump last but not least before anything. First of all, it was a beautiful show. I want to thank Mayor Bosley and Sister Senator Carla May for giving us the opportunity to try to fill in an awesome task where they're gone. And, every Friday we have our Juma prayer service, but we have another portion with the community that comes on. And anything that you would like to talk about, but at 12:30 on the button, we pray for those that have deceased, that have passed, that have been assassinated, that are out there in the cold, that's out there in the rain, that's less fortunate. We pray for them. And so anybody that that you need us to pray for, is hundreds and hundreds of people. I think last week was 519 people on the phone, but they're coming on from all over the country and all over the world. But I'd like to get that number out, and it's 1-667-770-1476. Again, 1-667-770-1476, and you have a PIN number, and that's 196-854, One more time, 667-770-1476, and that PIN number is 196-854, tic-tac-toe. Why don't you call it, and we can get a prayer in, or anything that you want to talk about, you can help get it out. Brother Charles Abdul Waleed Muhammad, I hope you will come next week, because Mayor Bosley will be gone, and if you would help us again one more week, we'd be appreciative. I can tell Mayor Bosley you took his show over again. And I want to pass it on to you, my sister, because we only got 15 seconds left, so you can wind it on down, because that's all you'll take artists over to, or however you want to say
I'm going to try to say this real quick, guys. If you're listening via that iHeart app, there's a little microphone. If you'd like to leave a comment for this particular show, push that microphone and just leave us a little comment. Give us some of that empowering power. And we thank you for tuning in. As every week, we thank you for tuning in to the Freeman Bosley Jr. Show. Keep it on lock.
Because stop playing. Oh, you think you got this, but you don't.